Oh, and make sure
Okay. Okay, welcome everybody to the Scio Township Board of Trustees. At 6 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. In the absence of the supervisor pursuant to Rule 5.1, I'll moderate the meeting until and if the board votes to elect someone else to do so. Roll call. Perry, absent. Yapo,
Present.
Flintoff, present. Grant, here. Noel, here. Reed,
Here.
Riser,
Here.
also present. Office Coordinator Christy Aiken, Township Attorney Mariah Singh. Adoption of the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to add what has been handed out at the table, emailed to us earlier, as K-12, renewal of current Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan employee medical insurance. I would propose putting it on consent. I would also propose pulling 03. The chief has done a wonderful job of working on this project, but it's not quite ready, so would suggest that we table 03 until our next meeting.
And I would like to move, and I spoke with the chief ahead of the meeting, with his consent, I would like to move to the consent agenda 02, the amendment to the contract with Partners in Architecture.
Okay, to move 02 to consent. Any other suggested changes to the agenda? David?
I'd like to remove K6 to, I guess it would be either new or old business. I'd like to discuss that.
Okay, could we move it to the bottom of new business?
Yes, so it'd be K6 after 06.
Yes.
And I'd like to table K9 until we get some details.
Okay, so a motion to remove K9 from the agenda until future date to be determined.
Right, it could be in an hour, but it could be
Okay.
next month or next week.
Okay.
Next meeting, sorry.
Great. And I would also like to make a motion to pull K1, payment of the bills, to new business, just at the end. It'll just take 30 seconds.
So that makes it K after K6?
Yes, so new business would be 01, 04, 05, 06, K6, K1. Any other suggested changes? Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
Support by Riser.
Motion by Reed, support by Riser. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. The agenda is adopted as amended. Are there any declarations of conflict? Correspondence received is in the packet. Now is the time for public comment. This is the time for members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. Anybody here in person, would you like to speak? If so, please come forward. Please come forward, Dave.
Is there a table, a spot open, like on the corner or something? How do we
Yeah,
wanna
would you
do
be
that?
so
Or
kind
right
to,
here?
would you be so kind to move that little mic down to Dave? And Dave, let's make this the public comment stop.
Okay.
Thank you. Christy, would you please keep time? Thanks. Dave?
Yes, I would just like to say that I'm not very happy with the trash service. This year so far, I think if we get our trash picked up tomorrow, it'll be the first time they pick it up this year without calling and having to come and get it. And then when they come and get it, they co-mingle it, and the trash goes with the recycles in the smaller truck. And also, I would like to know is since Heritage Woods has put the curbs and everything else in, who's going to take care of plowing the snow up there? I've been plowing up there with my snow thrower everything on it. Now they come down there with some big equipment. Now since it's soft today, it's all messed up again. I really can't go up and get it with my snow thrower will get clogged up. But that's my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Any other members of the public? Please come forward. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident. Where is he, Don? You mentioned employees getting written up at the meeting a month ago. Since you have become the most moderate board member, I ask you again to look at the HR records and report to us how many write-ups there have been in the past year, what the topics of those write-ups were, and how many people people have been written up multiple times, then do the same thing for the previous year and the previous 5 years. And remember, Aurora reports to the board, not Jessica. So as Caroline pointed out last time, you have the authority to see those records. 8 people left in 2025. Please search their exit interviews and report what they say. Then also call those 8 people and ask them why they left and report that too, please. No names need to be released, just the reasons. At the meeting on the 27th, Ryan said he would look at exit interviews. I think he did that to head you off. Please make it part of your research. Has there been any progress on hiring outside management consulting firms? Ian named the potential one a month ago. What progress has been made on the essential services definition and call-in policy? What is the insurance liability to the township if someone gets hurt on their way to work when the building is closed for severe weather? What is happening with the Director of Operations search? Last time I heard you needed 120 days for results. We're long past 120 days. What's the news? Tonight's agenda packet was added to 5 different times for a total of 67 added pages. 456 pages Wednesday when it was published, then 467 pages Friday, 470 Sunday, 484 yesterday, and now 523 pages. Adding to a 500-page agenda packet makes it so difficult to find what has been added. It's understandable that last week's working session minutes aren't available until just before the meeting, but the other additions are unnecessary and have turned a bad habit into policy. I'll remind this board that it is counter to the rules of order to add to the agenda packet once it has been published. Renee Smallwood's FOIA appeal document makes a lot of good points. What is this board going to do about the mistake you made in assigning the appeal process? The Ember Grove developer rejected the neighboring residents' request to build a fence to prevent people from wandering onto his property. Please make sure that is one of the conditions of approval. It was a reasonable request. Tonight you have a TIF subcommittee discussion. I find the application for brownfield funding for construction projects a potential source of shady shenanigans. The brownfield program was designed to help communities clean up polluted land. It was not designed for construction of new developments. Unless a project truly has affordable housing, not just attainable housing, I highly recommend the board reject those proposals. And lastly, Kathleen, you never responded to my invitation to meet. I'll assume that means you don't have any legitimate concerns about my public comments, or you don't want them published, or you don't want Lieutenant Krassenberg to witness them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any other members of the public, please come forward. Yes, Roger.
I'm Roger Rail. I'm actually here because I heard about the audio problems, so I thought I would come and try to tweak the Zoom a little bit. The Zoom interface is a little different than the one I use, but I found a setting that might make it sound better, but people online will be able to tell probably better than I. The challenge you have here is because some of the audio is from the mics through the speakers. So Zoom is trying to figure out, is somebody talking in the background or is it coming through the speaker? So some of that's because of Zoom. And this is a temporary thing. It's only been another meeting or two maybe, but and one of the problems, of course, is that anybody on Zoom is only looking at 2 people right now because you're not getting a full view here. So, but I thought I'd just take this opportunity because Scio Township is a general law township. So a lot of the things that would be done in a city or a charter township have to be done by the residents because we keep our taxes low. So one of the things I've been doing for the last 32 plus years is watching over the Gelman 1,4-dioxane contamination. And now it's more than a mile north along east of Wagner Road where I live, heading towards Huron River, where Ann Arbor gets 85% of its water. We should have been already into a Superfund site with the federal oversight and the federal courts making the polluter do everything that the polluter should do. But that hasn't happened, and we have to get through this. So one of the things I want to do with the 4 dozen homeowners who have wells contaminated by the Gelman dioxide in the last few years is have a meeting this spring sometime, and either in small groups for the sub neighborhoods, or maybe a meeting at the township hall to get everybody caught up on what needs to be done and to get the inputs from all these neighborhoods that are now newly affected. Because somebody has to pay for that sampling. Right now, it's the state. The Scio stepped in and paid for some of it. But all that monitoring of where the dioxide is going should be paid for by the polluter. And with the polluter pay law long gone and not being reenacted very quickly, it's up to us as residents to do the best we can and keep our water safe for the future. It's gonna probably, this contamination is probably gonna outlast all of us, and that's another issue that the intergenerational aspect of this. The dioxin doesn't care if delays happen or something. The dioxin's gonna move. Just like the dioxin, once it gets in anaerobic groundwater, moves wherever the groundwater goes. So we have to do more to keep everybody informed and to get the right solutions happening. And we've had successes over the years, but there's been some setbacks, so we have to just keep on top of them. So that's just what I want to say. That we have to work as a community because it's going to take a village to do this and solve other problems that people come up with all the time. I want to thank everybody for being here and all the people on the board and all the staff for paying attention to issues that really matter. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Hi, Carolyn. Hello. Carolyn Altamar, Scio resident. Rob Pattinson has done some great work on kind of following and including a whole bunch of the residents into the whole data center issue, which I had not been paying attention to up till the last week or so. And I think that our township, the planning commission had a good agenda with some good regulations in there, but as we all know, big money can be a winner, and so we need to really work hard. This board needs to work very, very hard with whoever necessary, especially since Governor Whitmer is not exactly going to be like a companion in blocking the data centers. So the other thing I wanted to bring up today is I'm really concerned about how long it takes about the employment situation here in Scio Township. It takes forever to find chewing through township managers, people leaving, the finance position, IT guy leaves. I mean, these big things that we need don't ever seem to get hired, or they don't stay, or whatever. There's a real serious problem here, which brings me to my third point today, is I've heard the board say, yes, we will work with the facilitator, we'll work with the mediator, and then nothing. Your lack of action, your lack of actually soliciting, at least to our view, we don't know, but maybe you should let us know, actively soliciting some kind of third party to resolve this, because it's a little like a couple that's fighting, and they're fighting and they're fighting and they're fighting. They're not going to fix it on their own. They need to go to a marriage counselor or a therapist. They don't know the answers. You guys don't know the answers to fix your own problems. That's very, very evident. So you need somebody to help you out. Not a crime, not a sin, no big failing. It's just that you need to get it done. And the lack of doing it says to me that you're not really serious about getting it done. Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. Any other members of the public present? Please come forward. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Paul Zaluka, 6700 Mass Road, Dexter. You probably recognize the name from my flooded emails to you about the letter from Peace Lutheran Church and the Ember Grove subdivision. So as a member of the church, I just want to emphasize, one member, not a board member of the church, but a member of the church, that emphasize the need for a fence that, or ordinance that gives you the authority to have the development put in place. In addition to being a member of Peace, I'm also a Webster Township Planning Commissioner, been there for 25 years doing that. I've seen a lot of plans come in, I've seen a lot of public hearings, And as a planning commissioner, looking at this development of a residential development next to a non-residential use, to me as a planning commissioner, it's a no-brainer for putting in a separation, because the people who move into that development, they may not realize what a non-residential use encompasses with all the traffic, the lights, the noise, the people. So I just want to emphasize that I believe that as a planning commissioner, I would be for putting a fencing around the development. And it provides for the people in the development a screen from the lights, from the noise, from balls that leave the property and get kicked into the yard. You'll be doing your zoning enforcement officer a huge favor, because if there's nothing there, you'll be getting complaints about trespass, noise, lights. And then on the contrary, the non-residential use of the church may be giving you complaints about trespass, using their equipment, their ball fields and so forth. So just consider that. And the last point is, if the situation was reversed, where the development was there and the church was going in, that high intensity use of traffic, I'm sure your planning commission or yourselves would have looked at this seriously about, hey, we want to protect the residents who are already there from the lights and so forth. So I'd like to have you make the decision now rather than wait for complaints. And what I don't want to have happen is the church have to pay for screening in the future. Because if the church expands and comes forward to you with an expansion plan, there'll be a public hearing. All these residents will be notified of the use being intensified, and they'll be talking about, hey, they should put screening up, they should, watch the traffic and so forth. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your service to the township.
Thank you so much, Paul. Any other people here would like to speak? Please come forward. And if anybody else would like to speak, please get on back. Yes, go
Where would
ahead.
you like me?
No, right wherever you are, that's fine.
Hi, I'm Meg Moore. I'm here with the Dexter Cooperative Preschool, and I'm also talking about the same development that was just spoken about by Paul. Our co-op is a preschool. We are parent-run, and we run on a very lean budget for all volunteers except for our teachers. And we rent space out of the Peace Lutheran Church. We have some worries about the development coming in, especially with security and liability. I will kind of go a little bit more in detail. Our playground has natural barriers right now. We've never had any issues because it's surrounded by a fence on one side, brush on the other side, trees on the other side. It's naturally surrounded by natural barriers, which has allowed us to continue without a fence prior to this. This development creates a lot of concern for the safety of our kids. It develops a lot of concern, for people using our playground as well. We, like I said, run a very lean budget, and the maintenance and the liability, we do keep the liability insurance. We pay for that on our own, and we also do all the maintenance ourselves. When the co-op came in, we built that entire playground ourselves. So that is the co-op's playground on the church's land. So that also ties in a lot of things. So essentially, our worries are our safety, our fence concerns that could potentially break our budget. We don't have many funds, and especially since we offer a very cost-effective option for preschool for families, especially for families that might want to be in this development. It would be a very nice benefit. So we're really hoping that the development will help us continue to stay in the spot that we're at by helping us with a fence. We think that it would go hand in hand with the property being next door and helping the people who are going to be inside the development. And then on top of that, we also have some security concerns with a lot more people. There's always more security concerns. So we will also need to bulk up some security, so maybe some cameras, things like that. And also just lock down our things a little bit better. Obviously we do what we can, but again, low budget. So those are our concerns. With this development, I think with licensing, they would come in and tell us that we would need a fence. So that is, and those are extremely expensive. So, so we're hoping that we can come to an agreement and work together on something that would work for all of us. So, and I know that they talked about a barrier between the church and the development that could potentially be one side of the barrier. So, hopefully we can create all sides. So, I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
Meg, how do you spell your last name?
Larmore, Larmore.
Thank you so much. Next up, anybody else present wish to speak? If not, we can go to Zoom, Christy. We'll hear from any members of the public who are on Zoom who would wish to speak. Please raise your Zoom hand.
Okay, first up is Jonathan Greenberg, followed by Jillian Carey. Oh, hang on.
No, you unmuted me.
There you go.
I'll lower my hand. Thank you, Chrissy. Appreciate it. Hey, I just want to follow up on my comments from the last two meetings. 2 meetings ago, there was some dirty laundry brought into the public by the Board of Trustees. There was a reprimand and a motion to bar the supervisor from the township hall. There was a significant amount of backlash by the Scio community. Residents showed up and talked for an hour and 45 minutes in public comments, expressing their displeasure and dislike of what was done. It even made national news. It was on MSN, which is a little embarrassing for those of us who don't want to see our township name soiled in the news. After the first conversation, or prior to the first conversation, after the first conversation, I had heard from township employees who said that, yes, they would love an opportunity to communicate with a third party who would be objective and protect their identity from leadership, because they felt like they had targets on their back and did not feel comfortable speaking up about where they thought the toxic environment was coming from and who was causing it. And so I had heard back saying I received some thank you notes or thank you calls for expressing their viewpoint. And my concern is similar to Carolyn's. You are not addressing it. You are sweeping this under the rug, first with a new motion that you passed last meeting to your code of conduct or whatever, which seems to be applied to some but not others. And there's been no talk or discussion of listening to the employees and hearing from them where the toxic environment originates from, who's causing it in their perception. And it feels to me like something, went askew. Your plans to attack went askew, and now you're sweeping it under the rug. Our township employees are the core of this organization. They're the ones that keep the township running. And Board of Trustee members, clerks, treasurers, supervisors are transitory. They're elected, they come, they go. We need to listen to our township employees. We need to hear what they're saying. We need to understand what the problems are. It's incumbent upon you, the people who brought forward these propositions to ban supervisors and to scold employees for mistakes in public. It's incumbent on you to listen to them through a mediator and allow them to be protected anonymously. Other than if you don't do that, then this is just a big political game. And we Scio residents deserve better than that from you. That's why we elected you. So please, arrange a third party to come in and listen to the township employees to find out what the problem is. Don't sweep it under the rug. Address the concerns, and then we can move on. Until that time, all you've done is stir up a hornet's nest and then walk away. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next up, Supervisor Jillian Carey. Jillian? Oh, I'm sorry. She's
okay.
unmuting you now. Hi,
Go ahead,
Jillian.
Jillian.
Okay, good evening. Yeah, hi. So, earlier today, I sent an email to the board and I was thinking about this and, actually it was a different supervisor from another township that has had similar experience, but, pointed out about 41.72A Township Board, moderator and whatnot. So in the absence of the supervisor, if, well, as you know, if present is the moderator of a regular or special meeting of the township board. If the supervisor is not present, the township board, under the direction of the township clerk, shall elect by voice vote a member of the township board as a member of the meeting. The township clerk has the same powers and duties as the moderator until a moderator is chosen. And this evening, again, just pushed right through it without having a voice vote of who would be the moderator. And not only that, this is statute 41.72A. It's in our rules of order, 5.1. Under the direction of the township clerk shall elect by a voice vote a member of the township board as moderator of the meeting. The township clerk has the same powers and duties of the supervisor as the moderator until a moderator is chosen. So this is important because this is a rule that the board had adopted, and it is based on statute, and we are bound by our rules and statute. And especially since the last board meeting, under consent, code of conduct for Scio Township officials and staff. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. Public servants shall honor and respect the principles and spirit of representative democracy and set a positive example of good citizenship by scrupulously observing the letter and spirit of laws and rules. So I don't understand why we adopted a code of conduct. We've adopted board rules of order. We've, all these other policies when we don't follow them. So I'm encouraging my board members that we were all elected. We all have the same powers, not all the same duties, but the same powers, every single seven of us, to follow the rules, please. It just makes it clear for everybody. Everybody's on the same page. And if the rules need to be changed, then as a board, we do that. So, and thank you so much for Jessica, for what you're doing at this point. But I do want to see the board vote on a moderator because you shall do it. One other thing, the audio is terrible. It sounds, people that are talking, it sounds like they're underwater or they're in a can. And I'm having, well, as a Zoom attendee, having a hard time with that. Listening. Hopefully the recording will be better. Okay, well, have a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Feel better. Any other members of the public on Zoom? Seeing none, I'd like to move to board member response. David.
I move Jessica Flintoff as moderator for tonight's meeting.
Support. There's a motion on the table, support by Noel. I'll just make one comment. The introduction I made to tonight's meeting, I had, of course, cleared with our township attorney, but I knew based on my knowledge and experience that was both the letter and spirit of the law. So I will support this motion, but it is performative and unnecessary. Any other comments? All right, let's do a
Voice vote?
voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Any other board member response? All right, approval of the minutes.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
There have been members of the public asking us to hire an outside party to kind of look into, I don't know, the discord and on the board and how that impacts employees. Is that something that this board would be open to doing? Or is it something that we feel is necessary or that we benefit from, or I guess what I'm saying is, what about that? I don't want that to left unresponded to. So I'd be curious to
Well, I'm not opposed to that. However, we do have some rules in place right now in terms of chain of command and ideas that board members should treat other board members respectfully. I outlined very clearly in what we just passed last time. I would like to start to and work within the system, but I am not opposed to that. And I was hoping that we would have more information, Mariah, from you tonight on some of these issues.
Was she charged with that?
Reviewing some employee issues and potentially arranging a meeting in the future.
And if I could, I'm going by memory, John, I'd have to look back at our minutes, but we did take some, I'd have to go back and look at the minutes of January 13th, but my understanding is some staff and attorneys were looking into some options. But you might want to ask them offline where they're at on that. I don't know.
I would be in favor of having an outside person come and talk to the staff.
That's it. We're going to go outside.
Do you mind, thanks. Any other comments?
I'm in favor of it. I don't think we don't have enough information to move forward at this point.
Yeah,
just
I
batting
want
around.
the final work done first, and then we consider doing that, because I haven't ruled that out. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I want to see who's, I'm going back and look at the minutes now, but I don't have enough time to quite pull them up in a moment, to see who's charged with this. I don't believe I was.
I'm not
So I'm trying to just make sure, who to follow up with tomorrow.
But clearly we're not ready to do this, handle this tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, nor am I suggesting
Yeah, no, I know
a
you're
motion
not, John.
tonight.
I know you're not, John. So why doesn't everybody get more information and bring something back?
Sure.
Any-
Maybe,
Go ahead,
can we
John.
add it as an agenda item for discussion only? And that's,
Tonight?
no, hell no. I mean, heavens no, sorry. At a future meeting, as a, not an action item, but a discussion item, to talk about whether this would help the board, whether this would help employees in the relationship with the board, whether it's going to be too expensive, what the scope of it would be. Yeah.
I think that's.
I'm sorry about the H word.
Okay, Christy and John, can you do
Yes.
work on that? Okay, great. Any other board member response? Okay, approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the February 3rd regular work session. I know it was just a week ago. Are there any corrections?
I move their approval.
Support, or you?
Wait, I thought I had one thing.
Okay,
Sorry, Catherine.
I have to catch up where this board is.
okay.
1 second, please. Yes, on page 6, second to the last paragraph, it says board discussion address potential future funding sources, including potential state road funding of $236,000. I believe that is the road commission county matching grant.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm not surprised if that was garbled, but.
Yeah, and I think it was also, some of the money that will pass through the road commission will be some new state funding. So we can clarify that.
Yeah, I didn't want anyone to
Comes
think
through.
that we're applying for a grant or something.
Right, okay, thank you, good catch. Any other corrections to the minutes? Is that a?
Yes, friendly.
Friendly, riser, friendly, Reed. All in favor of adopting the minutes as corrected, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up, we're going to move to the consent agenda as amended. As amended tonight, it is K2, K3, K4, K5, K7, K8, K10, K11, and newly added K12. Is there a motion to adopt consent agenda as amended?
I move the consent agenda as amended.
Motion by Yeaple,
Support.
support by Riser. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda is adopted. Moving on next to regular reports and special reports. In addition to the written reports that are submitted, thank you, Christy, for assembling them. Let's just go around, John, all the way around for any burning updates. John?
Nothing.
Christy?
The only thing I have is our next meeting quite possibly could be at the Township Hall. HVAC should be completed next week. I'll know more. Please check the website or give me a call if you have any questions.
Way to go, Christy.
Thanks.
My only update is we just confirmed at 4 o'clock today, there are no ballot questions submitted for a May election, so there will be no special election in May. Ryan?
Thank you. Quick reminder, taxes are due Tuesday, the 17th, 1 week from today, 4 p.m. at Township Hall. You can pay online, you can use the drop box, but make sure you pay by Tuesday. Yes, it's normally the 14th. That's on a Saturday, so normally we move to Monday, but that's President's Day. Yeah, and thanks to everybody, the finance team, for their hard work getting the payment of bills through, because I know it's a lot of bills. Thanks.
I met with Barb Fuller and Matt McConnell, right, with the road commission.
McDonald.
McDonald. To talk about Park Road and the schedule for their proposed roundabout at Park and Zeeb. The schedule currently for 2028. So, and I know our MEDC grant is outstanding, $500,000. I think Chris is trying to see if it can get extended. I think it's already been extended twice.
At least once.
At least once. So hopefully we'll have that money, and like Kathleen said, there's $266,000 coming our way in matching funds this year. Because the matching funds from the state, I think he said, it's gone up to $4 million, which they divide out amongst the townships. So we get $266,000 of that this year. So it would be nice if we do the Park Road this year. We'd have $766,000. But if we spend it all on one road, we usually divide that 266 up amongst 4 or 5 or 6 local roads. But actually the roundabout will pave the first 400 or 500 feet. There's 2,900 feet, I think, Park Road to be paved. My guess is that's going to be at least $1 million. But they're going to do 400 feet by mere fact that they're doing a roundabout. And I think we determined that the cost, the design drives the damage as far as trees go. They'll take down as many as they have to, but they won't necessarily clear cut the entire 66 feet unless we want stuff that requires that. So, anyway. Okay?
Thank you, David. Kathy?
I think we're gonna have to make a decision on if and when we want to sit down with the city of Dexter negotiators and try to open up some dialogue.
I think we should talk about our potential position on it too.
I agree.
Yeah. So what do you recommend, a regular meeting or a special meeting?
Well, first, let's figure out what we want to do.
Okay.
You mean,
I mean, we can do that at the next regular board.
Okay.
Of this board.
What we want to do with regards to the annexation, and what we want to do with regards to negotiation. Or both. Okay.
you mean like a committee? What's our
Yes.
position, and is it voiced through a committee, or is the
Yes.
committee?
Yeah, that sounds good, Kathy. Kathleen?
Yes, the planning commission met yesterday, and as I have reported in the past, the planning commission is very diligently working on the data center ordinance. The planning commission wants it to be solid, enforceable, and there's no wasted time on this. We've been working very diligently.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Oh, I could do one more thing.
Kathy?
Forgot. I attended the ICE instructional presentation for local officials this week, held at Washtenaw County, put on by the sheriff, and there were multiple speakers. A lot of Ann Arbor City Council was there, county commissioners were there, Debbie Dingle was there, state reps were there. They gave us practical advice on how to deal with ICE, particularly in terms of distinguishing between an administrative warrant and a judicial warrant, which is very important. I've got examples of them. So we can talk more about it later, but I just wanted to update you on that. And the Zoom recording is available online.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, but I was on Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was on Zoom, yeah, they also sent the slides out,
Okay.
Yeah.
which
We
I
have the
got, for the Zoom participants, got the slides sent to them.
Okay.
I would also suggest
Christie
that
has-
Christy and Kathy maybe could consider what information staff may need to know, we may want staff to be trained on. I know Christy did a little bit of that many months ago with a memo, but particularly for our staff that's out in the field.
Do you have the slides?
Oh, up in the field.
Do you have the slides?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on from reports to new business. 01, Chief, you're up. Fire Station 2, budget and acceptance of guaranteed maximum price.
Good evening, Board. Thanks for the opportunity today. Before, I've got a couple comments to make on the beginning here, but I'd like to introduce our project team. From Partners in Architecture, Lauren Lee, she's our project architect. From Cunningham Limp, Dave Harden, Director of Client Solutions, and Scott Wheeler. Scott's our estimator on the project. And from OHM, Alex Bate, our project manager. All right, so in front of you, you have a budget that's been prepared. As you know, this project has been a long time coming. We've gone out to bid and we received those bids back. Cunningham Limp is a construction manager at risk, meaning that they bid the project. They're giving us a guaranteed maximum price on construction of the project. And then we'll work to get that project in the ground. Project timeline, they anticipate beginning in early April with a 13-month build time. And in interest of brevity tonight, I'm going to let each of the people speak just a little bit. And we'll start with Lauren, our architect.
Thank you, Chief.
This should be the large handout you guys have in front of you, printed larger copies.
Yeah, 11 by 17 there. A lot of information. As Chief said, I'm Lauren Lee. I've been the project manager since the beginning of the project and actually the assessment ahead of time. So very familiar with the project, very excited by the project. I'm excited to see where it is, and in the spring I'm going to be excited to be out here even more to see it coming up out of grade. To go through the packet, it's just an update on kind of where things left off through the efforts. We've been working with OHM from the civil side of things, making sure that that packet is good. We've been working with Cunningham Limp on budgeting to make sure that as we're moving through the process, we're making value planning decisions instead of having to go backwards and reassess the after bidding. So the first page is just a general site plan layout. It's kind of the bird's eye view of the entire property. You can see where the building sits next to Wagner there, and how it's going to be a complete drive around in the back of the site. We're going to have I'm going to say this wrong, site detention? Retention.
Detention and infiltration.
Detention and infiltration. There we go. And then we do have a lot of other developments that I want to point out that are kind of, as we zoom into other pages. The next page is the enlarged plan around the building. Want to point out a couple of things on here. We do have a nice parking lot for the public as they come up to the building. We are using the site to try to differentiate between a public space and where then the department would be circulating, training, and being able to utilize their back portion. So the public would be parked up front or on the side or the south side of the building with a plaza leading up to the building and the main entrance into the building. As you can see, we do have landscaping, and I believe then, I'll look at the site next. Okay, so we pointed out a couple of things. Sorry, I'm kind of staggering through this because I do have a few things pointed out, but I want to use the next couple of slides to help me point those things out. So I'll jump to the building real quick. So this is the layout of the building. The lower right-hand corner is that public entrance lobby. It is meant to be kind of the public zone, and when needed, the training room could kind of serve as that community space as well. So that yellow up front would be kind of that public domain area, and then there's a checkpoint door where you go into the administration side of things, which would be on the lower side of the page, also yellow. From administration, there's actually a separation from the suppression side of the firefighter department, and that's more in green. So those are kind of the operational areas for the firefighters themselves. So you would find the locker room down in the lower left-hand side, along with their restrooms. Their kitchen dining day is one big open area. And then their dormitories are isolated entities next to, in order to cut down on response times, right adjacent to their apparatus bay and the trucks. There is also utility and service spaces. A lot of zones around the apparatus bay are necessary for their operations in support of the trucks and their equipment. So there are wash areas, there's EMS storage, meant to be a clean space for all that equipment while it goes from being in the storage to on the trucks and ready to go out for those calls. We have that 3-bay double-loaded apparatus bay. So we have doors on the front and doors on the back, trying to keep those trucks moving forward at all times. On the top side of the page, we do have additional support side, which is the pink. Those would be rooms like decontamination, clean rooms, laundry space where they're able to transition from coming back from a call in order to get prepped for the next call. And then they have the PPE room there where they would store their PPE gear. So it's kind of a locker room, but for their extra gear. And then the fitness room there is an isolated space from the apparatus bay. We are trying to keep the contaminants away from the clean zones, and so that fitness room does have an additional door, but also an access point to the exterior so that during the warmer weather, they can actually utilize those spaces out there to stay up on fitness. Any questions on the program? All right, moving into the next imagery, I have a couple of slides. This image has been pretty consistent through the entire time. We really haven't made too many modifications. A couple of things to point out, we do have brick, we do have stone, we have large overhangs, cementitious siding is the red portion, the red doors. The large overhangs are going to provide a little bit more shadowing effect in order to help with kind of the heating coefficient in the different sun seasons throughout the year. And then the second rendering page is kind of getting towards the back. And we do have kind of these 5 blue striped areas. It looks a little bit strange, but in the next couple of slides, we start talking about some of the elements that we're putting into the project for sustainability. And these are actually solar panels, but they're not solar as in collecting solar for energy. They're warming air in order to pre-warm the air to get into the building. And so, Alex, did you want to talk about some of
Sure.
the next kind of sustainable portions around the site that we utilized within this design?
Sure. So, Lauren started to tease you with some of the sustainability elements that are part of the project. She has some more exciting things to talk about in a little bit, but externally I wanted to identify a few things. She's mentioned the solar panels already. We've worked with the construction manager to incorporate recycled materials into the project, as is economically feasible, within the budget, and what makes sense. We've tried to reduce the amount of storm sewer we're going to need to install by allowing for just overland drainage, which is, from an environmental perspective, considered a better practice. While you can see that the site is good size, the intention is that the majority of the green space disturbed will be returned to a native woodland plant mix, not something we're going to have an army of lawnmowers out there mowing twice a week, every June. We have some intentional, manicured areas that are best for immediate aesthetics and operations, but beyond that, the majority of the site is going to be allowed to kind of do what it does naturally from a landscape perspective. And then, of course, we, in accordance with Washtenaw County stormwater engineering standards, we are able to infiltrate a very large amount of the runoff that this project's going to create. So we're taking farmland, which is generally a permeable surface. We're adding a building, we're adding a parking lot, creating impermeable surface, which increases the amount of stormwater drainage created by the site. And then that is offset by creating this infiltration pond, which is going to serve as a direct connection between these surface waters right back down into the groundwater table. And as in addition to the infiltration, there are stormwater quality measures that go along with that, so that we're sending clean water down into our groundwater table. The site itself and the layout is pretty straightforward. It probably looks familiar. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fire Station 1 works for the chief, so we didn't stray too far from what how Fire Station 1 is set up. Two cuts onto Wagner Road. The southern one is the entrance for everyone, both fire department and public or visitor, and then is the public and visitor exit. And then the larger curb cut just out in front of the apparatus bay is, of course, we have an emergency situation to deal with. It's time to deploy our first responders and get those folks on the road and off to where they need to go. I don't think I have anything else exciting about the site.
Thanks, Alex.
Before I flip off, I will mention, he mentioned the roof of the solar panels. The twofer is that on this page I'm calling out the actual solar panels for electricity gathering is going to be up on the roof. We are incorporating that system into the project and into the building. So there will be an area for solar panel collecting electricity and then putting it back into the grid. And then there also are those panels that I was saying on the side, which are a little different. There's also a future expansion area within this site. Obviously, it's a lot of land, so if there was a need to do additional solar panels, we've identified that on the site that could grow in the future. The next page is a little bit more around the building with some more of the sustainability aspects that we incorporated. I mentioned the Inspire solar panels. Those are more part of the HVAC system, but they are using solar energy to help with the HVAC system along that side. So that's why they're on the south elevation, and they really aren't incorporated in other locations. This is the best corner to incorporate those panels. And then there are native plantings around the building. I don't know them all by name, but I know that there was pretty extensive conversations back and forth on what is going to be incorporated. We do have geothermal, so we are incorporating the geothermal field in the manicured portion of the lot in the front yard. So there's going to be, I can't remember exactly how many, I believe it's something like 10 borings, 10 or 12 borings, something like that. That are going to go down about 500 feet, and that is what is going to provide the heating and cooling for the building. The entirety of the building is on geothermal, which is new to me, meaning the apparatus bay is actually going to be on geothermal too. So that was an exciting development as we were moving through this process in this project. Some of the drainage that we talked about, we are trying to capture that in the localized areas with rain barrels off of the downspout system in order to then support the plant life that's around the building as best as we can with some of those sustainable methods. We also have electric vehicles charging stations that are incorporating. We have been working with the fire marshal pretty directly on how to incorporate those to the safest that we should, incorporating a disconnect switch on the building and away from those charging sites. So we're trying to kind of build upon what we're learning with those charging stations and with the fire marshal direct. From there, I think I named everything around the building. We do have signage that is going to be incorporated into the site as well. The intention is to earmark the site for people that are coming in the future to be able to understand that those panels are doing something, that there is native life, that, so there will be strategic signs that we're still working out language on, but I think we've identified 5 or 6 on the site that we're going to incorporate plaques to show what kind of things we're incorporating. Generally, that is the update for the project. Any questions that I can answer? David?
I assume this is a concrete slab on grade?
It is a concrete slab on grade, correct?
Will the slab be heated with the
It will-
geothermal?
It will not be heated. We will be taking those into, now you're testing an architect on HVAC, but we will be taking those into essentially a boiler system, and then it will be distributed with the air throughout. So we are still doing a ducted system, but it won't be through the slab. Thank you very much.
And from Cunningham Limp, Scott and Dave.
Good evening, thank you, board. Just want to thank you again for our inclusion in this process. We are honored to be selected last summer to be the construction manager for the team. Since last summer, we've been hard at work working with the rest of the team, working side by side. I think as Lauren had outlined, as a construction manager, which, on our weekly, bi-weekly meetings, we were there as part of the team checking the project's budget, the scope, the schedule, and the quality, so that when we get to the end here, and we see you tonight, we have a project that we can stand behind and we know is going to work, as opposed to being brought in at the in the ninth inning and come to find out everything that you've worked for the last 6 months is over budget, and we got to cut 20-25%. Lauren and Alex's team hate when that happens, so this was you guys had the foresight of going with the CM route to avoid that. So much so, actually, Scott and I were happy to see that this guaranteed maximum price budget today is over $100,000 less than the last budget update that we had several months ago. So it's been a great process working with your team and the chief to get to where we are today. I'll let Scott talk a little bit about the actual bidding process and the success that we had, but just a couple stats. We received 134 bids for this project, which was, from a percentage basis of who we solicited, was excellent turnout. Our goal, it's probably the most secret, our goal is always 3 bids per trade. Sometimes there's a couple exceptions to that, scopes that we had to sole source for design and assist components, but 3 bids per trade is always the target, and we achieved just a hair under 5 bids per trade. So had really great participation. I think the local community and the surrounding community we're really excited about this project and all the sustainable elements that are in it as well. So they had a great turnout. And Scott, I don't know if you want to say anything specific.
No. We did get a few bids from some local Scio Township addresses. A couple of them are competitive. And that does include Homeland Solar, into the existing fire station. We'll be doing full voltaic system on this.
Awesome. In addition, I think Lauren had mentioned, or maybe it was Chief, we do intend to break ground on this project as early in April as we can, and then wrap up the following April in 2027. Any questions we have to answer?
Chief, is that it for the presentation?
Yep.
Okay, questions from the board? Questions, comments from the board? I just want to say You all, I know, have been hard at work. This is one of the best processes I've ever seen the township undertake. So I want to thank you, Chief, everybody, Hamlin, PIA, OHM, everybody's been great. I've never seen such a thorough process. I have a lot of confidence in this. So, is there a motion?
I just have one comment.
Yes, sorry, Kathleen.
Yeah, and I want to recognize the chief. He's taken on this project, which is above and beyond his duties, and we need to recognize that. There's a lot of work that goes into this.
Thank you, glad I could be part of it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
I make a motion to accept the guaranteed maximum price for the construction of Fire Station 2 from Cunningham.
Support. Motion by Yeaple, support by Flintoff. Let's do a roll call vote. Knoll?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Riser?
Yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff? Yes. Grant?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. All right, now how we paid for it. Pat McGowan. Miller Canfield is here for 04, approval to issue bonds to fund construction on second fire station. You remember Pat was here last fall. Bendinsky, Plant Moran, Ryan, me, S&P will all be having a lot of meetings with a lot of processes depending on how we vote tonight. So I'll turn it over to Pat McGowan, our fantastic bond counsel.
Well, great. Thank you for that introduction. So just to kind of recap, this started obviously a long time ago. This project has been in the planning stages for many years. Back in November of 2024, the voters approved the fire protection millage, which is the source of funding for the project as well as other fire projects and fire operations here in the township. Last December, the board approved a notice of intent resolution to authorize issuing bonds in an amount up to $13,240,000. That was the number based on some early estimates, as well as the use of the millage as a number that would be sufficient with other funds to be able to pay the cost of the project. So we were waiting for this to get the guaranteed maximum price contract, and so we're coming back to you tonight for the second and final stage of the township board relating to the bonds. The resolution before you is a resolution to authorize the issuance of the bonds. These are capital improvement bonds in an amount not to exceed $13,240,000 to be used to pay the cost to acquire, construct, furnish, and equip the project. So the bonds will be payable from the fire protection millage that the voters approved back in 2024. That was originally a 12-year millage. The first levy was in December of 25, and so the bonds are timed to be of the same time frame as the millage. So this is why the bonds have an 11-year duration, so that the 12-year millage is going to last for the duration of the bonds. The bonds have been sized for that same time period. So what the resolution that's before you does is it authorizes the township to issue the bonds. It pledges the township's limited faith taxing power. The intent is, of course, to use the fire protection millage. And it authorizes various township officials to proceed with a competitive sale of the bonds. So we are planning to sell the bonds through a competitive bid process. That will be a date, right now it's targeted for mid-March, March 12th. At that time, bidders, which are usually financial institutions, banks, investment banking firms, would bid for the purchase of the bonds, and the bonds would be awarded to the bidder that produces the lowest interest cost of the township. So between now and then, there's a lot of steps that need to be taken. There's an offering document that's been prepared, that is being reviewed. There will be meetings with the rating agencies, Standard & Poor's, so that we'll be teed up then to accept and receive bids on March 12th, award to the low bidder that day, and then the bond closing itself will be roughly 3 weeks later. So early April, around the time that they're going to be talking about the groundbreaking. So again, this is the last action item at the board level relating to the bonds. It authorizes the township supervisor, treasurer, and clerk to take necessary steps related to the bond sale, signing, executing the various bond documents, and proceeding with that bond sale. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Questions? Good.
Forgive me, I'm not a finance guy. You're going to accept, or open the bid, you're going to accept the lowest bid on March 12th, you said?
March 12th.
And it's going to take 3 weeks to do the funding?
3 weeks for the closing. So the way this works is the bidders will bid. We will know the interest cost at that time. It's a fixed rate of the bonds, so we will know at that time what the debt service will be for the next 11 years. The 3 weeks is really to kind of get all the closing papers signed. They will deliver the full amount of the bonds to the township on April 2nd, which is the target closing date. So the township will be investing those funds for the next year during the construction period. The treasurer will be able to invest those in very safe investments under the township's investment policy, so you will earn interest earnings that will also go towards funding the project.
Is there a range that you expect to see in a month from now on what that interest rate will likely be, or what? You can't guarantee the future, I get that, but what typically are they?
Yeah, well, good. The good news is that I'm just the lawyer, not the finance guy. So they ran the numbers, and I can tell you that the numbers they ran were assuming a rate of 3%. So this is a relatively short bond at 11 years. The township is expected to have an excellent credit rating. We don't know what that is yet because that process is yet to happen. But that's kind of the expectation. This is a very nice size bond issue that we would expect to get a lot of attention and bidders in the market.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
Thank you, Pat, for all your work.
Is there, would anybody like to make a motion?
I move to adopt the proposed resolution authorizing the 2026 capital improvement bonds, that is limited tax general obligation bonds, as attached.
Support.
Motion by Riser, support by Reed. Let's do a roll call vote. Tonight we're starting with Noel. Noel?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Riser?
Yes.
Gable?
Yes.
Flintoff? Yes. Brandt?
Yes.
Resolution adopted 6-0. Thank
Great.
you so much,
Thank you very
Pat, for
much.
your work. Great. Next up is 05, Ember Grove OAPUD 24006. I believe we may have Matt Bush and Brooke.
Brooks is here and Joe Score.
Brooke and Joe, great. So first I will turn this over to Laura. Please introduce.
Sure. This development, Ember Grove, is on 65 acres on North Jackson Road and East Parker Road. It is predominantly currently farmed with pockets of wetlands and woodlands scattered throughout the site. The site is zoned Jackson Overlay and also IRP Industrial Research Park. It is master planned as mixed office industrial. Mixed office industrial does allow for high density residential projects as part of a mixed use development. They are proposing 104 single family condominium lots, 59 townhome units and 96 duplex units with sidewalks on both sides of the street. The development will contain private roads and public sewer and water. They also have stormwater management on site. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and discussed this project on December 8th. They made a motion recommending approval. It passed, I believe, 5-2 with Brandt and Culbertson indicating they would oppose the motion because they would like to see it go back to the Planning Commission one more time to clean some items up. As you're aware, this went on the last board agenda. Prior to having that meeting, we received indication from a review from the Road Commission that requested shifting the Jackson Road access drive 315 feet to the east to align with an existing, what appears to be a private road, Excavator Drive or Avenue. In reviewing the ordinance, that type of modification can be handled during final PUD plan review. So this is the preliminary. The Planning Commission holds a public hearing. They make a recommendation to you. You take action on the preliminary. Then a final PUD will come back to the Planning Commission. They will make a recommendation. It will come back to you. You will hold a public hearing. The rezoning doesn't take effect until you approve the final PUD plan. So I'm happy to answer any questions on my review, and I'll let the applicant give some information for you as well.
Okay. First of all, board members, any questions for Laura at this time?
I had a question.
Jackie?
I wanted to clarify the change that was made and if any additional trees would be lost as a result of that change.
We would look at that during final PUD. So I'm not sure at this.
Because I know the issue of the trees, the amount of trees that were proposed to be cut down became an issue at the planning commission, as I read through everything.
Well, it was discussed. I don't know that, I think the applicant did a good job, and they can reiterate this, demonstrating that they're developing the property, trying to not touch any of the wetlands and woodlands to the extent possible. There are some rows of trees that have been like fence lines that would be impacted, but I'll let them talk about it. They might be able to better answer that question.
Okay, Kathleen?
I'm reading the packet, and it strikes me, Laura, in your report that this is a mixed-use development. And you said we talked about it in the planning commission, but I must have been asleep at the wheel when that happened. So it hit me that what is the definition of mixed use? Because I didn't expect it to be, you have this housing type and this housing type.
So in our review, we talk about that in our master plan, in the master plan context, which is what we're talking about here as far as the mixed-use office residential allows for high-density residential as part of a mixed-use development. We state right in our review, while not a mixture of residential and non-residential land uses, we would agree that the use in context with the larger area is part of a larger mix of residential and non-residential land uses within this part of the township. And we've done that in other areas too. For example, next to Meyer, the condominiums that are there, that was looked at as a mixed use, even though there are only condominiums on that particular parcel. It's escaping me. I'm not feeling well, so the name of the development is escaping me. But we've used, no, not Gallery Park. The
Arbor Chase.
Arbor Chase. So, you know, that's how we justified a mixed-use development. In the ordinance, it also, in the PUD criteria, it talks about in section 36-245A that a residential PUD may be applied in any zoning district. So, I mean, I think we're covered here that that this meets the master plan and the intent of the PUD zoning ordinance.
Okay. So I just want to read a definition that I found that comes from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And the definition of mixed-use development: a single site containing two or more different land uses, such as commercial and office, commercial and residential, or office and residential. So my point, I think, is that this project is very auto-centric, that there's not the concept of walkability for the residents that will be living there. We don't have bus service there at this point. I know the multimodal committee is working on that. But it seems that it doesn't have some of the benefits of mixed use that, in a general sense, that the township has been looking at. Thank you, that's all.
Are the gentlemen here going to speak first?
Yeah, I just wanted to first have questions for Laura and then turn it over.
Okay, I guess one question really for LHI. I knew water extended down this far. Sewer extends this far down?
They would extend it.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions for Laura at this point? Okay, we'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brooks Gowan with Pulte Homes, and thank you, Laura, for the summary of our project. We're excited to be here tonight. For the sake of brevity, jump into page 4 of the packet that I handed out. That's where we'll find our site plan. As Laura was saying, it's a total of 259 units. We're at 4 units per acre, which, given the master plan recommendations and the future land use, is at the lower end of the recommended density for this future land use zone. It's 4 to 8 units per acre. We're coming in at 4, which we think is reasonable for this location. In regards to the housing mix, there are 104 single-family units. Those are the rectangles or the parcels you see on the eastern portion of the site plan, highlighted in yellow. Those are popular with our new family buyers, typically young professionals looking to become homeowners and have some space for their yard. On the western portion of the site, we have 96 duplex ranches, and those are popular with our active adult buyers. Those are the empty nesters looking to move down typically, and they're looking for a first floor main bedroom. That would all be common element space, so it's low maintenance living. They wouldn't be mowing their lawns or taking care of that portion. And then our third use proposing, if you look in the northeast section, those are our townhomes. We're proposing 59 of them, and those are popular with typically young professionals looking to become homeowners, some new families. However, it's typically people going out of their apartments looking to have a low maintenance life. The townhomes are also HOA managed, so they wouldn't be mowing the lawns or dealing with that. We wanted to point out that we have 37% open space preservation throughout the site. We have a large portion of woodlands being protected, particularly the quality tree stands. As Laura was saying, we have sidewalks on both sides of the streets. We're proposing a pocket park with playgrounds located in the single-family portion of the development. It was also talked about how we are also proposing a bus stop / wave stop, pending the township working out, extending the line out that way. I can get to the updated access drive on the next page. However, I do know during public comment there were questions for screening. We're amenable to a fence around the church. I do know that there are some wooded areas there and also some wetlands. And so as we move forward and come in for final, we want to work with the church, provide fencing where we can, but there's some areas where there's wooded areas or wetlands where it makes it a little bit tougher to install a fence. And so we would want to look into that as we move forward, but maintain the line of communication with the church. They're one of the sellers. They have my cell phone number, and we've been talking. So if we go to the next page, we have the access and circulation. As Laura was saying, there was some comments from New Washtenaw County. They requested that we move the access drive to be in line with Excavator Avenue or Road. And so we did that. We moved it 315 feet to the east. Wanted to point out proposing a new sidewalk along Jackson. And as Laura was saying, we didn't find it was a major change to the site plan. In regards to the trees, as we move forward for final site plan, we'll be looking into doing a tree survey and knowing what will be impacted there. However, the kind of approximate area of landscaping and areas we would like to propose, we will be looking into that tree line area where the access drive and the stormwater detention has been switched. So if we go to the next page, we wanted to highlight some of the natural features on page 6. So as I was saying, we're proposing 37% of the site as open space. I know with the printouts, with the printers, green on green doesn't always work out, but if you see the neon green sections, that's the area it's the approximate area where we believe we'll be able to save the existing landscaping and treescapes. And so we've had boots on the ground. They did a tree stand survey, so kind of a statistical survey of the tree species throughout there, and what we're looking at and some of the diameters and widths. I believe there's a vegetation survey that's provided in the packet as well. So as we move forward, we'll be able to do a detailed tree survey and know one by one. However, right now, the preliminary aspects, we have the species survey. So we also wanted to point out that we'll have the tree line buffer along the east and west portions of the site plan working to be maintained, and that as we do the new streets, there'll be 357 new street trees planted. If you turn to the next page, to page 7, I wanted to highlight the wetlands, as this was also a discussion during the planning board meetings. So we have a 68-acre site, and there's a total of 2.07 acres of existing wetlands there. Our proposed development will impact 0.67 acres of regulated wetlands. Initially, we were looking to do some offsite credits. However, given the planning board discussion, they requested that we do on-site mitigation. And so if you look at the image, the existing wetlands are highlighted in green and red. The red areas are the wetlands being impacted. Then if you go to the southwest corner, you'll see some hash marks in orange. And so that's new from the planning board. And so that is where we're proposing to do the on-site mitigation and adding additional wetlands to the subject site. And so, the existing wetlands is 2 acres. We'll be bringing it up to 3 acres with that on-site mitigation. I do want to point out as well, during discussion with the planning board, the neighbor to the southwest requested a fence. Typically, we're amenable to a fence. However, I may have answered too quickly. There's a large number of wooded area along that boundary. There's also a wetland. And with us doing the on-site mitigation in that southwest portion, we believe the existence of the wooded area and the existence of the wetlands serves as like a natural buffer and some screening to that property to the south. And willing to discuss that more during questions. If we move to the next page for drainage, water, and sewer, as Laura was saying, we'll be installing new sewer, 1,200 feet of 8-inch water main to enhance the system pressure. We have 3 new detention ponds. There will be 2 in the northwest corner and then 1 along Jackson. And one of the main items we wanted to comment here is that a part of our PUD benefit proposal is a donation of $150,000 to Scio Township for sanitary sewer improvements. So, moving on to some of the elevations, page 9, just highlighting the townhomes. These are 1,800 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. As I was saying, these are typical for young professionals looking to become homeowners while still having kind of low maintenance. They don't have to mow the lawn lifestyle. They're 24 feet wide. These are conceptuals now, and we can move into more kind of detailed analysis through final site plan as well on these materials. Base price, we're really excited about this to be able to start in the high 3s and then with lot premiums and amenities looking to low 4s for sale price. Then as we roll through to page 11, we have the elevations for the single family homes. So there's 3 different elevations provided in this packet. We have the Raven, the Finch, the Cardinal. Those range from 2,000 to 2,200 square feet. These are 4-bed, 2.5 bath. Popular with our young professionals or new families looking to have a little more space and to have their own private yard. So they'd be the ones mowing the lawn and take care of the landscaping. Base price starting in the low 4s for these single family homes. And then as we turn to page 14, finally the last of the 3 products, we have the ranch duplexes. These are 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. Again, popular with our empty nester, move down buyer, looking for a first floor, main bedroom, also low maintenance living, don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. 2-person households, and then base price would be starting in the mid-4s for the ranch duplexes. So, looking at the market and economy today, we're really excited about the proposal for this in that it's a diversity of housing. It plays into that kind of move around without moving out. We have offerings for first-time home buyers, young professionals, new families, and your empty nester move-down buyer, all at what we believe is an attainable rate. So if we go to the next page, page 15 for amenities, we just wanted to highlight some photographs of our the playground. I know this was discussed during the planning board. Ages 5 to 12, capacity of 28 to 30 kids. One of the things we wanted to point out is that we install a subsurface drainage system to prevent any kind of pooling. That's not always typical with apartment or multifamily or single-family home developments. We also install safety mulch, so make a nice quality playground for people to gather. The area will have benches. We have planning to install also benches along our, sort of a walkway connecting from the cul-de-sac through the open space in the neighborhood and connecting to the church. And I also wanted to speak about that here as well. The church is one of our 4 sellers, and my understanding in our conversation with the board members was that in the initial conversations they said, hey, it'd be great if you had a connection. And we said, yeah, great, we could do that. One of the planning board requirements was us to get something in writing. It sounds like now that they've kind of thought about it, there's some liability concerns. Conversations are ongoing. if at the end of the day they say, hey, we don't want this anymore, we can remove that section from the road to the church. Not a problem at all for us. Again, conversations are ongoing. We want to make sure that they're comfortable with that. However, one of the amenities is this nature walkway through the open space that allows you to connect from sidewalks and do maybe a shorter loop and have some nature space. I believe one of the members I've been talking with is here.
Is that this red line?
Correct. So that would be concrete nature path is one of the amenities. And in terms of sustainability initiatives, we're really excited about a new offering. Pulte hasn't brought this yet to Michigan. This will be new for Scio Township and Ever Grove. It is an all-electric house appliance option, which I can get to on the next slide in more detail. And so that will give owners the options to check the box when they buy the home, whether to have some gas appliances or all-electric. We'll also have EV outlet-ready garages, solar-ready roofs. We have recycled pavement materials. And on the larger scale, we just wanted to talk about the Jackson Road development patterns and recommendations and how we believe that 4 unit per acre density along Jackson Road, where they're expanding that transit, really also plays into a more sustainable development pattern. And you're closer to more commercial amenities to help reduce vehicle miles traveled. So on page 17 is more details about our all-electric appliance option. And so after our planning board recommended that we look into this, I spoke with our procurement team, and they can put together a package for home buyers who, if they would like an all-electric furnace and water heater, we work with the Carrier and Bryant appliance manufacturers, and they can do the install. That would be accompanied with an electric heat pump, a heat strip in your air handler, and an ERV, which is an energy recovery ventilator. So those work to move heat from inside and outside or reverse during the summertime for air conditioning. Obviously, that would come with the electric kitchen appliances, electric water heater. There was also questions on the planning board about water sense features. And in speaking with our procurement team, they've been doing any feature that can be water sense certified, they've been doing for a number of years. So say your toilet or the shower head. And so anything that can be, Pulte has been doing for a number of years. So to wrap things up, page 18 with the recognizable benefits. One, the regional sanitary sewer improvements with a donation of $150,000. We believe we're providing a diversity of housing at an attainable price point for a variety of consumer groups. We have 37% open space. We're providing pedestrian accessibility and connectivity throughout the site, as well as to Jackson Road and Parker, and providing a bus stop along Jackson to promote transit-oriented development. So with that, I leave it to you with any questions.
Great, thank you.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
The sustainability all-electric appliance option, that came from Jan Cullerson. So she asked them if they could pursue that. She needs to get credit for that.
Thank you, Jen.
Awesome. Thank you.
For the board discussion, I'd like to just suggest that we kind of go around. We'll start with John and kind of keep the discussion at the board table. If you have specific questions for our planner or the applicant, you can ask them. But we'll go around maybe twice. John?
The open space in the path, is that going to be open to the public or open to just residents of these units?
Well, if somebody who's walking along Jackson decides to take a walk through the development and wants to go on that open space path, they'll be welcome to. There won't be signs saying private only, you're not allowed to.
It's not good. Some subs do say that, members only thing. Do you plan on having signage to prohibit non-homeowners?
I don't think we'll be doing any kind of signage like that. That's not typical with our pedestrian pathways to our sites.
No, thank you. This looks good. I appreciate all your work in front of the Scio Township Planning Commission, and I appreciate your tweaks on it. You'll have ingress and egress both on Parker Road as well as Jackson Road?
Correct.
And the sidewalks are going to go along Jackson Road
Correct. No, there's a sidewalk along our entire strip of Jackson Road, and then also a proposed sidewalk on the southern portion from the access drive to the bottom portion of our property.
Is that on, like, what page could I see that?
If you can go to page 4 of the packet, should be able to zoom in. Well, I guess you can't zoom in, but yeah, lean forward.
So in the update, it's along the frontage on Jackson Road.
Correct.
And remind me, and my apologies, is Parker Road a dirt road there?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Christie?
No,
Okay. I would just make a couple comments and questions. I'm kind of a question for us. It doesn't have to be answered now, but the initial discussion about the community benefits of $150,000, I'd just be curious about where the development team was at in that. I know we've talked about having, policies and things. It sounds like this is a maybe initial offer from the developer. I don't know. But certainly that would be something I'd want to look at. I want to thank the church and the child care provider for being here. A question for you, Brooke. You mentioned, certainly the safety of the kids on the playground. You mentioned that there's a certain area with a lot of trees and wetlands. Is that the same area that she was talking about was kind of the natural barrier for the kids?
Oh, so we've had 2 requests for screening and fencing. The area south, I guess the southwest, single-family residents have had some questions for screening. There's a large amount of woodlands and wetlands, so tough to run a fence across that. However, with the church, we're amenable to screening and fencing. I believe as we move forward, we'll communicate with them, and we can do arborvitae and or fencing. And I believe as we come to final with the planning board and back to the board of trustees, there'll be adequate screening for the church.
Great. Okay, those are all my comments at this time. Ryan?
Awesome, thank you. I guess this is a question not really for us, but for the road commission. That stretch of road is, I think, 50 or 55. I assume that, maybe I shouldn't assume, but hopefully somebody's got to put a decel or acceleration lane at least on the Jackson Road drive side of that, because otherwise that's a death trap. That's mostly comment at this point. I agree. I appreciate the church or the child care provider coming and giving their input. I think that there should be some sort of fencing, something safety-wise there. Looking at the fact that there's wetlands and knowing quite a bit about construction in that area, the settling of the land could be an issue, and we've had issues with residents in Trailwoods, another development you identified that had previously done, that had land grading issues and water drainage issues. So even for the HOA product you're building, that would be something I would want to see some more solid things around, especially the development agreement that will come before us at some point. Sidewalk on Jackson Road's great. Question, have you physically not been in a car, like actually stopped at the site?
I've driven it.
Okay. It's half a mile to the nearest sidewalk that would connect to that. Not putting you on the spot, but it's just, I pulled it up on Google Maps and drew clear distance. And yeah, I mean, that's great. Hopefully we can eventually get the sidewalk there. It took till 2006 to build that part of the boulevard, so maybe by 2050. Yeah, I also have a question about the 150 grand. That's a very mysterious number, and certainly appreciate that. Maybe that's, I don't know, could you speak to, is that your initial offer? Did that come from someone?
This our team.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great question. Joe Score, Fulton, Michigan. That was completely our initiative.
Okay.
That did not come from anybody.
Awesome.
That was.
That's right.
It was just from us.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
And no ill will in asking the question, because we've had this in the past where we've had different developments, and it becomes a bit interesting at times where the numbers have come from. Sometimes they're like really high, sometimes they're really low, and then sometimes you're like, who came up with the numbers? So that was just our question. I appreciate the answer. Yeah, I think overall I like the idea of your plan, but there's definitely, we're definitely an initial. there's more questions to be worked out. So thank you guys for coming tonight. I appreciate the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. David?
Before I make my comment, I just have a couple of questions. The Pocket Park, do you know what size? Is it an acre? Is it 2 acres? Do you have an idea?
A little over an acre. My understanding is that as we did the rearrangement, we were able to gain a few more square yards.
Okay.
So,
And you think the capacity is 28 children? You think?
yeah, so the playground that we provided details on, very popular with our multi developments, and we never had any complaints. So I talked with our land development person about this, because we had to bring back details for the second planning board meeting, and very typical with our developments that are 50, 100, 200, 300 units.
Well,
Also, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Also, given the diversity of uses, it's 104 single family. We believe we'll be using the most for the playground. So 259 units, however, 104 units will be most likely the ones using it the most.
Correct. Okay. But the townhomes are for young adults with children. So you got 59 with children, you got 96 with children, so that's a big chunk of children and a very small park. So just my comment. The single-family homes that are marked in yellow here,
correct?
They appear on drawing to be row houses attached, but the elevation shows them to be single families. So are these the homes that have the 5-foot side setback?
Correct. So in the yellow, those are 40-foot lots, and the homes provided in your elevations are 35 feet wide. So you'll have
45 foot wide lot.
45 foot lots.
Wow, I lived in California and I thought 50 wide was narrow. Boy, this is getting small.
Then the homes are 35 feet wide, and so
Yeah, at least on your drawing they say 40 feet wide.
Oh, my mistake.
David?
Good point.
I have a lot more.
Yeah. No, take your time.
Private roads?
Private road.
Okay, so if the private roads, theoretically, the sidewalks are then private.
Correct. And that's all looped into the HOA fees and
Okay,
side funds.
maybe you don't have this, but the outlet in the garage is going to be like a 60 amp 4-prong plug, or is it 120? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I do not know. However, I can have that information. I know that I don't know the amps for the garage.
Okay. All right. Anything less, don't even bother. If it's not 60 amp, don't even bother.
Sure. When I spoke with our procurement team, can we do these type of electrical plug-ins? And they said yes, we're adequate with the electrical boards for what we're proposing.
All right. Well, you answered some of my questions and gave me some information that I didn't have when I made my comment, so I'll try to adjust it as I go. But I am really not in support of this plan as presented. I agree with Commissioners Culbertson and Brandt that this plan in its current state should not have come to the board. Once the issues raised by the planning commissioners have been resolved, only then should be brought forward. Scio Township has a carbon neutrality goal, net zero in 2030. Obviously, extremely aggressive. But this plan doesn't seem to really help that very much. That should be one of the top priorities for any developer coming into Scio Township, or any township that has this type of goal. For this applicant to ignore the goal initially, to ignore the goal and use gas appliances, it's very disturbing. Thankfully, the developer has offered all electric, but I don't think it should be an option. It should be an all electric development, period. In addition, trees are an important part of our plan and should be considered as such rather than an inconvenience that can be killed without compunction. On that note, lack of a tree survey, while not required, I find it difficult to approve a plan when there's no documented list of trees to be killed. The applicant states the developer plans to preserve as many trees as possible. I say, trust but verify. I'm not the first to say that. The project, from my mind, the project is way too spread out. It impacts too many environmental issues, trees, wetlands, and pervious surfaces. I would prefer development go up rather than out. I asked a question about the EV charger. I think the actual charger plug I'm talking about is an NEMA 14-60R. For the sound barrier, applicant states that the existing trees on the northern border are sufficient. What is currently present along the western section of the border would hardly pass as a sound barrier. It's mostly scrub trees and a few very tall, nondescript trees, all deciduous. Currently, there's just a bunch of sticks there in that area. So it provides neither sound nor visual barrier. So there is no real sound barrier on that part of the development. The project, when completed, will house 259 families. I see nothing in the schematic that shows the pocket park, but you pointed that out, so I see it now. I would ask that there be a plan for families, especially children, to gather and have some play space. You've got this small playground, but what about adults? Where do they gather? A community this size should have a clubhouse or some means of larger gathering. Speaking of which, for 259 families, the lack of guest parking is unacceptable to me. You have a party with more than 2 guests, where are they going to park? Developer shows no imagination with respect to the exterior design, an obvious bow to the bottom line. The images remind me of the cookie cutter homes that were first built in 1950 by Levitt & Sons, otherwise known as Levittown. That is not a compliment. Well, I say not in my town. Having lived in the Bay Area, which routinely has 5-foot setbacks, I cannot approve such a condition in Scio Township. That's way too close. The Planning Commission's minutes include the following. Mr. Cowan affirmed that the documentation regarding church connection could be provided as a condition of approval for the Township Board review, and that additional materials addressing the outstanding issues could be prepared for the board. I see promises in our packet, but no clear commitment. Environmentally friendly features should not be optional, they should be part and parcel to any plan in the 21st century. Yes, they are initially more expensive, but will result in much lower utility bills and will be beneficial to the environment. You have an opportunity here to take the lead and start thinking about the future of our children and our grandchildren, not just your bottom line. Well, that's my comment.
Thank you, David. Kathy.
Wow. Yeah. I have several concerns. I have some questions, and I agree with some of David's points. Let me start. You mentioned the amount of open space several times, but here's the question. How much of this open space is usable open space?
Possible.
Can you respond to that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know those exact numbers.
Just visually, you can see it in the plans. We can come back with an actual area, but we're meeting the intent and the definition of open space per the township. That's what the 37% comes from. If you'd like us to make our opinion on what's usable and what's not, we can certainly come back
I
with
think
the numbers,
so.
but you can see them on the plan.
But your plans are, it's kind of difficult to distinguish between the light greens and the darker greens and what is what. I mean, I think maybe we need an enlarged plan and maybe more detail.
Yeah, and this is for presentation purposes for this. The information, and we'll provide more information, but there's a whole site plan that goes along with this as well that shows how the open space is being defined per your ordinance, and we can come back and give you the area.
Okay.
Whether we move forward or not, we can still come back and give you the area. We'll be our opinion on what's usable and what's not out of that 37%.
So I also had concerns about the size of the pocket park that David has raised. And I would like more definition on, you say you're going to work with the church. I'd like more definition as to specificity, how you are going to work with the church and on what issues, what's that going to look like. You said that the planning commission, not board, requested on-site mitigation. And I would like to hear more about that discussion. I don't know, Kathleen, if you remember that. But maybe you could address that. I used to be, or now, I don't care.
It was discussed, I think along the lines of off-site mitigation doesn't benefit the township. They buy credits for someplace else. And is that really an effective mitigation?
Okay.
One other comment, I mean,
Go ahead.
a manufactured wetland is never as good as a natural.
I agree. I mean, I know that, but it's also, I wanted to hear more discussion about the on-site mitigation that they are planning to do. I just want to, because I had some concerns with that. I also had concerns with the tree issues, and I would like much clearer definition of how, perhaps a total tree study as you were recommending, and how, which trees exactly would be cut, because, are these heritage trees, are these small trees, which ones are there that would be cut? So I've got multiple concerns about this, and I think that the board could use more definition before I'm prepared to support this for sure. So if we take the vote tonight, I'm going to vote on this tonight.
Is that all, Kathy?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Kathleen.
Yes, there was a question asked about the public benefits and how those were derived. There was no discussion in the Planning Commission on public, for example, the $150,000. I personally challenged some of these benefits as not public benefits, but rather community benefits within the development. So I discounted those in discussions. I still discount those. I have a question on what you're terming base price. What does that mean compared to final price?
Sure. So base price is essentially your starting point for that, and then based upon the site plan, there's lot premium. Some lots have higher demand for location. And then there's different interior packages that you can get regarding like your appliances, whether it's all electric or you want the gas, or the interior finishes on the cabinets and the kitchen. And so in projects like this, there's typically 3 different categories. Sometimes you see an a la carte selection. So there's the base price, and then what you select for the location of your lot, as well as the interior that impact the price as well.
So what would you estimate as actual pricing on these?
So let me just answer that. So just to clarify a little bit, base pricing, as Brooks mentioned, is starting price, and then options are basically what a buyer wants. It's complete buyer preference. If he wants just a few upgrades, he can save some money. If he wants the Taj Mahal, he'll spend a lot of money. And then premiums, that's a little, that varies at the site in terms of the lot features and things like that. So to answer your question, so for example, in a single family home that starts off in the low 4s, he may end up in the high 4s. It just depends. A lot of it is what a particular consumer wants or what he doesn't want. So I can't give you an exact, I can just kind of generalize for you. But that would be a good guess.
Okay, so it's, I'm not sure if we could call this attainable housing, is my point. Where it ends, where these prices end up. But I wanted some idea of how, I think I knew that already, but, what's a realistic price on average, what people generally pick. My experience is developers state a price in finished product is not at all what they stated to the planning commission.
Do these homes have basements?
The single family, sorry.
No, Kathleen still has that.
I don't mind.
Okay, great, go ahead.
If I could just, and I don't want to interrupt you, could I just mention something about the affordable attainable housing, or I'll let you finish too.
Yeah, let them finish, okay?
Sure.
Kathy?
Sure.
What was your question?
Basements?
They do. Some of the ranches may not. Again, a lot of it's based on what a particular buyer wants or what they don't want, but all the single family homes will have basements.
I don't want to repeat previous concerns. I have similar concerns, but I want to go over these recognizable benefits. $150,000 towards upgrades to the region. I believe that was targeted for a pump in the vicinity. Diversity of housing, recognizable benefit. I don't see a lot of difference in price points between these two, and is that really a benefit to the public of Scio Township, or again, is that a benefit for the community? It doesn't meet my definition of mixed-use development. As I stated earlier, this is a auto-centric development. Open space, 37% open space, passive and active. I think a good portion of that is detainage or detention ponds. Pedestrian accessibility and connectivity. This is not a public benefit. This is not a public benefit to the larger community of Scio Township. This is something, an amenity within the development is what I would call that. An amenity within the development.
May I?
Yeah, right.
So generally, we work more on community developments in between preliminary and final when we're really working on the development agreement. So I would encourage you to look at this as like the first offer and not the final offer, right, Joe?
Very flexible.
Yeah. So
Right.
we generally have a lot more conversation about that.
Yeah.
Between the two views.
So I wanted to clarify that. Bus stop, wave stop along Jackson Road. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, maybe.
Not that I can, that I'm aware of from the 6 meetings we've had about that, and over an hour piece.
Right, so that particular benefit, I recall mentioning this in the planning commission, and you folks said, well, we're talking to Wave, and I said, you're talking to the wrong people. That is a Scio contracted service. So you don't get credit for that. Yeah, I have my concerns about elimination of the wetlands in the northeast portion of this property. There's a large wetland being eliminated, and I don't understand why you couldn't have focused more housing in the northwest quadrant of that property, which I believe wouldn't have been impacted as much, but that would require a lot more work, I think, to figure that out.
Thank you, Kathleen. In the interest of time, I will know we've been around once, we can have more discussion, but I would just ask, is someone prepared to make a motion on this matter?
Well, for the sake of getting it going, I move to approve the Amber Grove preliminary PUD plan number 24006, PSP 24017, with the following conditions to be addressed during final PUD site plan. 1, to resolve concerns noted in the planner engineers dated November 4th, 2025. 2, to resolve concerns noted in the engineer's review dated October 24th, 2025. 3, to resolve concerns noted at tonight's meeting, including but not limited to on-site wetland mitigation, church connection approval, privacy fence for the neighbor in the northwest quarter of Jackson Road and Parker Road, the appliance and utility options promotion of all electric homes, examination and availability of the water sense plumbing features, and the additional tree reservations and grading review. 4, review of the Jackson Road access drive shift as part of the final PUD site plan review, and added 5 for continued discussions and negotiations regarding the public benefit for all of Scio Township.
There's a motion by Riser. Is there support? Seeing none, the motion dies.
I make a motion to, well, let me ask Mariah, can we send this back to the planning commission like the planning commission asked?
I think you can do that.
Okay. I'll make the model motion, but instead of to approve, to return this application to the planning commission for further discussion and recommendation.
Do you want to say based on the comments that you made?
Based on the comments made at tonight's meeting.
There's a motion by Yeaple, support by Reed, to return this matter to the planning commission based on the comments made tonight.
I have one more comment.
Yeah, discussion, Kathleen?
Yes, discussion. I'm actually the commissioner that asked the question, do you have an agreement with the church on, so we now have a situation where the church is reaching out to Scio Township, which does not look, anyway, they're reaching out to us to point out their issues with your plan, and we've talked about screening. They have issues for that, but they also have issues about construction, dust, and debris. And they want some feedback on how's that going to be mitigated. What's your plan for picking up stray construction materials? That we had this issue in Trailwoods. They also asked a question about the detention pond that has been along Jackson Road, the east portion of this property. You're moving the entrance further east, and they're asking questions about the detention pond. It's directing rainwater to the drainage ditch, so their concerns are they will get additional drainage into that ditch that will impact their property. So I would like to see somehow that you have some collaboration with the church that is not. The church was amenable to allowing residents access to the church ball field. It's less that than we have an agreement, we have sat down and talked, we have notes, we have discussed these things in depth, because that's exactly what the church is asking Scio Township.
Thank you, Kathleen. David?
I think also you need to consider the comments from the woman who runs the pre-K school. I think they have concerns you're going to have on the east side of this development, where the families are going to be, where all the kids are going to be, and it's right next door to where the pre-K is. And I got the impression from one of her comments, I can see that they perhaps today leave toys or tricycles or little things out in the yard.
Or children.
And they expect it to be there in the morning. With 200 or 100 plus families with children next door, that might not be the case unless there's some protection for them. So I think it's real important that you think about keeping that part of the property protected, separated.
Call a question? Which I would support if it hasn't been supported.
All right, we've got a motion by Yeaple, support by Reed, to return this to the planning commission based on all the comments made tonight. Roll call, we're starting tonight with Noel. Noel?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Riser?
Yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff? Yes. Brant?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Thanks, everybody, for your work. Next up, we're on 06, appointment of Scio Township representatives to serve on subcommittee to evaluate TIF request for 5411 Jackson Road. Laura, if you'd be so kind to just hang on for another moment here. I know this is not your item. I prepared this item, but I want to thank everybody who met, Kathleen, Laura, Nathan from the county, Christy, Ryan, and I, to start talking about a process and a policy for how Scio Township can consider these TIF subsidy requests with the right analysis, the money to pay for those analysis, and to get our process sort of synced up with the counties. So we are working hopefully for the February 24th meeting, if not the next meeting in March, to have a proposed resolution to impose township fees for the proper review of these plans. Carlisle Wortman has some capacity. We're looking at some of that, but to make sure we have the right analysis of these pro formas, so that make sure that we have enough legal analysis reviewed by our planner. And we also need to develop some substantive criteria. That said, tonight we have an invitation from Nathan Vogt, Washtenaw County Brownfield Development Redevelopment Coordinator, to appoint representatives of Scio Township to a subcommittee. So in the past, including on recent ones, there have been informal meetings with township people that have counted as that subcommittee. When we even tried to recreate who subcommittee members were with other TIF applications, it would be hard to do. So I think it's good for the board to just kind of appoint which 1, 2, 3 people this board would like to sit with the county. And I would note too, what was most interesting was to have Nathan and Laura sit side by side with each other. And Nathan was like, hey, they submitted a site plan. And Laura was like, no, they haven't submitted a site plan. So is that still the case, Laura? Yes. They have not submitted a site plan, but they have submitted everything to the Brownfield Authority.
Oh, so just,
yes.
So we have had concept meetings. They have submitted a site plan. We have reviewed it. We've asked them for additional information. We're waiting on a resubmittal. So we've done a conceptual meeting. We've seen a site plan. There are some traffic issues we said we want nailed down with the road commission before we will move forward. Before we would like them to be submitted. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you. So questions, discussion, or are there people who would like to be appointed? This is just for this one project.
Yeah, this is something that I took an interest in and literally poured through the housing tip and saw what I thought were unacceptable administrative fees. So I would be interested in working on it.
Great. I think you'd be excellent. Thank you. Would anybody else be interested in being appointed?
I'd be happy to be part of that. I've reviewed, obviously, the Crossroads plan and well aware of our millage rates.
Thank you, Ryan.
And our taxable value.
Yes.
Is anybody else interested in meeting on this one? This is, again, the Honey Creek project. Bravo.
The old Malloy.
Yeah, South Sea Road, Macon.
Yeah. I used to think they just did that in the south, give you directions. Do you know where the old Kmart was?
Next to the big tree.
No, I just got here.
54.
All right, well, I would make a motion to appoint Trustee Brandt and Treasurer Yeaple to represent Scio Township's interests in working with the County Brownfield Authority Working Group on the application for a brownfield tip for 5411 Jackson Road.
Support.
Are you not interested, Jessica? We need help.
I don't have capacity. Thank you. The motion's already on the table.
I know.
Motion by Flintoff, support by Yeaple to appoint trustee Grant and treasurer Yeaple. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Ryan and Kathleen. Laura, I think, next up.
one.
Yeah,
Quick Trip.
that last one.
K6 is Quick Trip, conditional rezoning, ordinance amendment 25008.
So this is a conditional rezoning application for 5 parcels, approximately 15 acres, found at the northwest corner of I-94 and Baker Road. The rezoning would be from R1 single-family residential to C3 highway commercial. The concept plan that's been provided with the conditional rezoning application is for a vehicle fueling station, convenience store, and truck stop. In October, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on this conditional rezoning request and postponed further action because this portion of Baker Road is not served by municipal sewer. And in order to develop this parcel, they had to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to get a variance. The Zoning Board of Appeals met in November and approved the variance to allow development of these parcels as C3 highway commercial. They then came back to the Planning Commission, and because the proposal changed a little bit, we held another public hearing. And at that time, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the conditional rezoning with the 4 conditions that the applicant provided voluntarily, as they're required to do for conditional rezoning. And that's what's in front of you tonight. Skylar Evans is here, representing Quick Trip. So I can turn it over to him with any questions you might have.
Thank you, Laura. Board, do you have any, who would like to start the discussion?
I would refer to David since he pulled it.
Oh, okay. I thought, all right. Obviously, I'm not in support of this plan. After reading the Planning Commissioner's comments and concerns, all of which I agree with, I was a little surprised that it actually passed and moved forward. I think this plan is not the right one for this location. But I thank you, Commissioner Moore, for your vote. The township has a plan in place, as I've said in the previous comments, to be carbon neutral by 2030. Very aggressive but doable with cooperation from residents and developers. This plan simply enables more ICE cars, internal combustion engine. ICE cars. Having a couple of parking spaces and a conduit for future EV charging does nothing to promote EVs or assist in attaining our goals. Having driven Teslas exclusively for the last 13 years, I know the importance of convenient charging stations. In 2013, I was aware of only a few in the area, all of which were Tesla superchargers. I usually charge at home, but when I had the need of a supercharger, I was usually the only car there, or maybe one other Tesla. Since Tesla has opened up the stations to other brands of EVs, and with the growth of EVs, cars and trucks, when I travel, I often have to wait in line to get a spot at a supercharger. Convenient charging stations are essential, not a nicety. I'm not in favor of this plan because the township does not need a 4th gas station at this location. If the fuel pumps were replaced by charging stations, that would be different. Enabling ICE cars is a look to the past. I would ask you to look to the future and the future of our descendants. Take a lesson from Meyer. They have charging stations at many of their stores. Many of them are Tesla superchargers or other companies. The provision to provide service for large tractor-trailer vehicles in this location is a problem for me. The issues raised by the PC Planning Commission speak for themselves. The access to me seems way too tight for this. If the trucks miss the entrance, that's going to be a real problem. As mentioned by the Planning Commissioners, the traffic noise and more pollution is not what we need. No, I'm not for this result.
Okay. Thank you, David. Other comments? Yeah, fine.
I'd like to thank the resident at 1675 Baker Road who sent an email to the board this afternoon She called Township Hall. I spoke with her at length for about 25 minutes about her concerns about some of the similar concerns Trustee Reed had about the traffic and the trucks and what have you. Yeah, I'm torn on this. Ultimately, I don't see how it's going to pass conditional land use, but thanks.
Can you say more about that?
I'm trying to look at Muni Code right now. I didn't have a chance to look at it earlier. We've been quite busy, but there's a lot more steps of this process than just this approval. If this were to be approved by the board at this step, it has to next go to conditional land use, as we know. And I think it's going to face some challenges there if they're going to apply for conditional land use for a truck stop.
And if I could, I can ask our township attorney or planner to talk about next
Sure,
steps.
so
Thank
this
you.
is the first step, the rezoning is the first step, this is a conditional rezoning, they're placing the voluntary conditions on themselves. The next step, the truck stop and the fueling station require conditional use approval. So that's a whole nother step, approving the use, a site plan will come with that. If the uses are approved, then we go into site plan where we're going to talk about turning movements and traffic and those types of things. So this is just the first step of a long process. And just by saying yes, we'd like to move forward with a conditional use application. We're not being tied to the rezoning, as one of the conditions states that this rezoning is conditioned on final site plan approval. So if for whatever reason the conditional use or the site plan isn't approved, this rezoning would go away.
Revert.
We would revert it back. We have to actually revert it back, but it would revert back.
The board would.
The board would.
Thank you. Mariah, did you have any other?
No,
comments?
I was just gonna say, basically what Laura said, this is, from a conditional rezoning standpoint, this is what we like to see, where the applicant has really narrowly put very narrow conditions on this rezoning. They're only asking to do one of the things that they would be allowed to do under straight rezoning, and they've agreed that if they don't get what the site plan approval that they're seeking, that they're not going to try to sell the property with this conditional rezoning. It would go back to its original or some other zoning that the township chose. So, from a conditional rezoning, I actually was really happy to see this. So nice job. It's just what we're looking for as far as the narrowness of it and the specificity. That's all.
Kathy?
Did you read the ZBA minutes?
Yes.
It passed, it was approved 5-2.
Yes.
Excuse me, 5-0. And I supported it at the ZBA level. I thought it made sense. I still do.
We can agree to disagree.
We can.
So, okay, sorry, Kathy, was that it?
Yes.
Okay, yes, John.
I'm going to support this, but I'm going to support it tonight. I think that those parcels that are right next to a freeway and right next to a freeway off-ramp shouldn't be something, but should be commercial. And I think we're lucky that rather than just ask for a commercial, that without any conditions, they're willing to make conditions. And Trustee Reed, I would ask if there were a bullet point on page 2 that would require EV superchargers on each parcel, if that would assuage some of your concerns.
You can't add that.
No, but they might offer. If that bullet point were there, I'm only asking if that would assuage his concerns. I'm not worried about legality. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. I'm just wondering if that's, because they might offer it up to.
It might be easier, but still, it's gasoline.
But and I would say so is the market. So are cars and trucks. I mean,
I don't care what Washington says.
The market,
continue to use
not
gas
Trump, the market.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I yield.
Okay, so, The conditions that are presented by the applicant are those that we're considering tonight to establish that. Okay, great, so we got what we got in front of us. Any other comments from people who haven't spoken? I have a question, David. If, I'm trying to understand, because I do feel that, something, that it makes sense for this to be some sort of commercial, but I share your concerns about just kind of perpetuating and not building the infrastructure for electric. Do you feel that that's possible here if a different application were to come forward?
I'm sorry, what do you mean have?
Do you feel that, the infrastructure?
I mean, like if you had a, first say, and they won't do it, but if, like buyers here with their EV chargers, like a grocery store with EV chargers, is that what you mean? Something like that? I think that'd be a perfect use for this property. I think another gas station here, we don't need.
Okay.
We have 3 of them within walking distance of this. If they run out of gas, we don't need a 4th one. That's my point.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, is somebody prepared to make any motion on this matter? Does not have to be the motto motion. It can be any motion.
John Reiser is, I would move to approve ZOA number 2026-02, conditionally rezoning parcels H-0818-400-004, 007, 008, 009, and 034 from R1 single-family residential to C3 highway commercial. Do I need to make reference to the conditions set forth on the agenda item K6?
They are already in that ZOA.
Okay, then I don't. Then that's my motion.
Is there support for the model motion?
I'll support that.
So there's a motion by Reiser, support by Yeakel for the model motion. Any discussion on the model motion? I just want to confirm that voting on this model motion means supporting the plan. It's not just, it's only for the permitted uses.
Yeah, you're just voting for the conditional rezoning.
Okay.
Which is why as of tonight I support.
Then there's a long way to go from this conditional rezoning to whether or not there will ever be a gas station there. So.
But a vehicle filling station and convenience store.
Is permitted.
Yes, okay. Okay. Yeah, I see the problem, David. Okay, any other discussion?
I just don't think it's that novel to put a gas station and a convenience store next to a freeway, notwithstanding that there are others in the area. And I'm going to vote to support this.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody say it'd be novel, quite the contrary. So, any other comments? Okay, I'll roll call vote on this. Tonight we're starting with Noel. Noel?
Yes.
Reed?
No.
Reiser?
Yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff? No. Grant?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-2. Thank you, everybody, for your work on this. Next up, we have agenda item K1, payment of the bills. I pulled it from consent because I have a brief comment, and I know that we got you these late today. I will just, again, thank the finance team. Barb and I and others have all been jumping in to help. We've had been in crunch time for longer than expected. I've emailed the board about this, about some steps we're taking to mitigate that. If anybody has any further questions, please reach out to me offline about how we're resolving this. But in the meantime, I wanted to make a motion to approve the proposed claims for payment of February 11th, those presented to you, and to approve the payment of the Chase card expenditures pursuant to regular review and approval process, and to receive the prior check run report for February 4th, 2026.
Support by Reiser.
Okay, motion by Flintoff, support by Reiser. Explanation, still expect early morning those final payments to be entered and for checks to still go out by the end of the day tomorrow. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next up, I'd like to ask for public comment. This is the time for members of the public to speak to the board for up to 5 minutes on any matter. Would anybody physically present like to speak? Please come forward.
Howdy, everybody, again.
Hi, Caroline.
Caroline Altamar. Sergeant, to Mr. Reed, thank you for the motion to adhere to protocol, for having a selection for the moderator. Thank you very much for doing that. Really appreciate that. We all know that the last board played fast and loose with statute, Open Meetings Act, and rules of order under previous supervisor. We all know that they did that. And you all campaigned on transparency and doing the right thing. I have to admit, I'm really disappointed in you, Jessica, for calling the vote performative. It was not performative, it's statute. You said you'd do it, and to me, your answer looked to us quite flip. David, thank you again for all your great observations regarding Ember Grove. I mean, I thought they were really well thought out. I hadn't really thought about all of that, and those were really, really good points. So thank you very much for all of that. Thank you, Trustee Reiser, for trying to advocate for the actions to improve the working culture at Town Hall. Really appreciate your giving it that effort. Several of you expressed discomfort with Ember Grove's semi-promises. And rightly so. Well, we're kind of working with them. We're sort of trying to do this, that kind of thing. It's like, not quite like landing it for me. I understand that, but your responses to improving the culture at Town Hall are exactly the same. They look exactly the same. Oh, we're in favor of it. Yeah, we'll try. We'll discuss it some more. Let's just go with the code of conduct and give that a whirl. There's a fundamental problem that needs to be addressed. And just kind of putting icing on it is lipstick on a pig, in my opinion. It just looks weak. To me, it just looks like lipstick on a pig. There needs to be a gut to the studs kind of look at. It needs to come from the bottom up. And so I just encourage you to please take this gentleman's and all of our comments. If you really want it, make it happen. If it doesn't happen, you didn't want it. I don't care how much you say it. If you don't make it happen, you don't want it. End of story. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Does anybody else wish to speak? Please come forward.
Yeah, Todd Stites, I'm a member of the board at Peace Lutheran Church.
Hi, Todd.
Since it's the pleasure of my first board meeting, I missed my turn earlier to speak, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I appreciate you listening to the comments brought up by our member and the head of the co-op nursery, as well as your own, protections and just asking questions for the church and the property. Just to clear up some, so I have been speaking with a member from Pulte, and that letter was more the trust and verify part. So they have, mentioned they were amenable to these things, and that letter was a result of just putting it in documentation so that it would ensure to go forward. We have been in conversations with them though, and the church itself is questionable on walking a fine line between access, opening up to the community, as well as protecting the property itself. So we feel like a neighborhood being built around the church is exactly what the church is there for. It wasn't put in the middle of a cornfield 26 years ago to just be in the middle of a cornfield 30 years from now. Mm-hmm. So this is exactly what we are hoping for, and I appreciate your comments on making sure it's the best for the township as well as that side of town. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. Anybody else present wish to speak? Please come forward.
Yeah, Paul Saluka, again, 6700 Mac Road. On behalf of the subcommittee that created that letter, I want to apologize to you because as a planning commissioner, that letter showed you on the planning commission. It said you the nuts and bolts of the review, but we missed that vote. So we put the burden on you to look at it and do planning commission work. thank you for that. Thank you for your comments on the Ember Road, because there was a lot of planning commission questions that you asked that weren't answered, and you got a plan that was questionable. So thanks for your work. Thanks for your work in the township.
Thank you. Any other members of the public here in person who wish to speak? If not, Christy's going to check Zoom, see if anybody would like to make comment via Zoom. If so, please raise your Zoom hand.
First up is Paula Globerson. Go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Hi, Paula.
I just want to let you all know the experience we had when Trailwoods went in. 5 years of blowing dust. I have actual movies of it. I went over to the environmental unit. So with the preschool over at that church, they might want to put into the planning something about controlling dust blowing, because it's quite a severe problem when they're putting in roads. And my family in Arizona, they have to wet down, spray. You cannot have all that. I mean, there are things in the soil that people don't want to be breathing for 4 years, and or not being able to open their windows whatsoever. But I have a concern for the children if the preschool is there on that. And then I just want to say something about the tax incremental financing. I'm glad you're getting to that policy. I don't know if you remember the Eagle last dioxane meeting, maybe even 3 years ago. And one individual saying, well, there's just dioxane everywhere. And on the west side of the state, they're doing a lot of that, and it's great to utilize land. But if you look through those policies, you lose a lot of control as the township on how that's going to be cleaned up, whether it's capped. I'm sure Kathleen, she never misses any details, and Ryan and the cost, because it's really the people's money that could be used for some other sewer issue. And I'm not so sure that $150K is enough to be hooking up into our already stressed sewer system. I talked to a lot of people, and we had not taken care of the sewer system. However, there comes a point when people can, half this township doesn't think about it because they're on wells, but it's very, very expensive, the water, and those water rates are going to be coming up. But I also think it's a little bit the cart before the horse, and I'm not so sure why they're doing that. And then I wasn't able to listen to the planning commission because it was echoing. And I just want to say that, you can write all the ordinance up in the world. I think the state with the solar saying they can mandate it. With everything good comes something bad when you have mandates. And I also remember we weren't going to have on-site sewers. We had an ordinance that was totally ignored when they put in that nursing home situation down there. And they're no different than a septic field is about how long they last. Anyway, that's just my feeling about tax incremental financing. And please read all about how the cleanup can take place. Anyway, I'm not sure why they want the brownfield first before they proceed. Anyway, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Paula. Any other interested public, please raise your hand. Is there anybody else? Okay. Okay, seeing none, is there any board member response to public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I have one comment.
Oh, yes, John.
We batted around stuff and we didn't agree, but it was good to have a civil discussion about things. The people with whom I didn't agree had made great points, did the research, and I appreciate the points people raised and the manner in which the discourse happened tonight. Thank you, fellow trustees. And all.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Is there a motion? Oh, sorry, David?
Thanks, John.
Even though you're wrong.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Support.
Motion by Yeaple, support by Reed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, I meant it. I really did.
Opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned.
So it sounds like, so.
8:30. No, wait, 8:28, Cheryl.